Yeah, that could have been a turkey, too. I mean,
could have been.
Will you please cut it upfield just one time?
He is so slow, Dave. Oh, my goodness. He's slower than molasses.
Yeah, I know, but he just doesn't want to get hit. He goes out. He could always pick up extra yards, but he doesn't. So I have a feeling he's going to have a big game on Sunday.
You do?
Like Rudolph. Yeah, I do. I think Belichick will find a way to get those two shut down, maybe, or one of them. He's no idiot.
No, he's not.
I just don't see him winning there on the road. I just don't see it. I say they lose by 14. I think it'll be close for a while, but
they pull away in the fourth?
Yeah, there's always that extra flag or two that New England gets, and it'll be cold weather, grass. He won't blitz, and that will be a problem. He's always more aggressive at home. That always bothers me about him.
Yep.
I say blitz the heck out of him. That's what I say. Who cares, right?
All right, you heard it from Dave first. His 3 turkeys. Yeah. He's got his holiday turkey and Zimmer. He's got Patino on that list. We'll see how they do. And then the last one, who did you have for the last one? Who did we just talk about?
Well, an out-of-towner, Paul Christ.
Oh, Paul. Oh, man. He is in trouble. You can't lose to Fleck like
14
that.
14 years?
Oh, yikes.
At home? That's not good.
Ugh. All right, Dave. Have a good one. Man. Great job today.
Hey, good talking to you.
Yep, of course. He'll have his 3. We talk about this. I know people think right now that, everything's peaches and cream at Minnesota right now.
It's not. Just give it time.
Wait until next week. We're going to have a blowout in New England. We're going to have the Wild have their decline 4 in a row. We're going to have Patino losing to Arkansas State. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but
it'll be easier next week for me.
It will be easier next week. All right, coming up next year, Tom Coyer of the Daily Gopher will break down what's going on with PJ Fleck and the bowl-eligible Minnesota Golden Gophers. All right, we obviously had a huge Gopher victory against Wisconsin, so we're going to cherish this. I mean, we as Minnesota fans, you need to cherish this moment. It hasn't happened in 14 years, and that was just at home. Haven't beaten the Badgers at Madison in 24 years. So joining me now to break it all down, and we're going to be excited today, Tom Coyer. He is the founder of thedailygopher.com. I read his stuff. I read his employee stuff. It's a very good website. He's the creator. Tom, thank you so much for giving me the time.
Hey, glad to be here. Happy to be talking about that Gopher win.
Oh, baby. We're happy to have you on. Let's start with the positives first. We got to be, I'm going to be unbiased here, but let's start with the positives. Like I said, first time Gophers beat Wisconsin at Camp Randall in 24 years. A little fun fact, they beat them 17-14. We had Marion Barber, 139 yards and a touchdown. Lawrence Maroney, 135 and a touchdown. Snapped a 14-game losing streak. And, let's just talk about this. How big was this game for P.J. Fleck and this program?
Well, it was pretty big, largely because it changed the perception of the season entirely.
Yep.
I don't know how you could look at the season and not consider it a success or an improvement over last season, where if they go down to Madison and lose like everyone expected them to, I think there was a lot more debate on the perception of the season.
Right. And they're bowl eligible. I mean, I don't want to be crazy here, but it's very important, and I don't want to compare it to like a national championship, but right now, I mean, the Gophers' goal is a bowl game. We don't care what it is. It could be the Pinstripe Bowl, it could be the Insight Bowl, but PJ Fleck got them to a bowl this year. What do you think they'll be playing in a few weeks here?
Well, you're exactly right. That getting to the bowl game was a big step for the program under PJ Fleck. I mean, they were getting there consistently under Kill. But now that he's taken over, and it needed that to show some progress over the year before. And you're also right that it really doesn't matter what bowl they go to. I mean, it looks like it's probably going to be the Pinstripe Bowl or possibly the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. But again, it really doesn't matter where or who. I mean, it's not just good from the standpoint of getting the extra practices, and he's got such a young roster and all that stuff, but it's a way to celebrate the success for the upperclassmen and the underclassmen, for them to go on a trip, right?
100%.
Vacation. They get to have fun, to enjoy the season and enjoy what they've accomplished.
100%. And they just actually came out with the All Big Ten defensive team. Carter Coughlin and Blake Cashman, I think those were pretty obvious here, especially Blake Cashman, unbelievable year. Talk about those two and how good they've been for the Gophers this year.
Yeah, Cashman especially, and I was actually surprised he was third team. I thought he was kind of on the edge of first team, for sure second team, but he had an amazing year. I mean, the guy was just, there was a few games kind of in the middle of the year where he struggled, and I don't know if he was making the wrong reads or if he was just trying too hard or what, but especially the last 3 or 4 games since Joe Rossi was the interim defensive coordinator. He was just outstanding. He was just always making plays on the ball, causing turnovers, and he's just one of those guys that is great for your program because he does things the right way. He's a good student. He's a good kid, and he's a great football player, right? And especially coming from preferred walk-on to earning the scholarship and becoming arguably your best defensive player this year.
100% agree, and obviously they miss Winfield. I think he's number 1, but I think Cashman's right behind him.
Exactly right.
If you had to grade this season for Fleck, break this down for me, what would you give him and why?
Good question. I'd give him somewhere in the B minus range. Like, it was a good season. It was a step in the right direction. I think if you would have polled most people at the beginning of the season, they'd say, yeah, they'll finish around 6-6, maybe a game better, maybe a game worse, make a bowl game. So they kind of did what they had to do. But how they got there was really unexpected.
I 100%
right?
agree.
I mean, in the middle of the season, the defense was just atrocious. And they lost to a couple teams they shouldn't have lost to, but then they ended up beating a couple teams they should have beat. So it was a weird season. So it was, I mean, a B minus, somewhere in there. I think it was good. It wasn't great. Certainly wasn't bad.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. I mean, they lost a couple of games where you said it was a head scratcher. Wow, really? You're going to lose to Nebraska? You're going to lose to Illinois? And then you go on, you beat even Indiana. I thought was surprising. You beat Indiana, you beat Wisconsin, you beat Purdue, you rout Purdue. So it's it almost canceled each other out, but you want to see a little more consistent play. So that's my next question. What's going to be the expectation going into year 3 with PJ Fleck and these young Gophers?
Well, it's I've thought all along since Fleck took over that 2019 was the year you need to see something more. So it'll be interesting because he had so many young guys on offense. He gets everybody back. You should expect to see more consistency on offense, fewer mistakes, particularly turnovers, and maybe you can even start to expand the playbook more and have a pretty good offense next year. Your defense doesn't really lose much besides Cashman and Huff, and Gary Moore. But basically, you bring a lot of talent back on defense, and those guys are all going to be juniors, seniors for the most part.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You should have expectations that your defense is going to be pretty good too, and then you get Nebraska at home, you get Wisconsin at home. It looks like Maryland and Purdue are going to have new coaching staffs. You avoid Ohio State and Michigan. You get Rutgers. So, the schedule kind of breaks in your favor as well.
Yep.
So I'm expecting more wins next year. I think a 6-6 season will be a pretty big disappointment.
Who do you think the quarterback will be in 2019?
Oh, good question. I still think it's Onixstad. I think if he's healthy, I think he's the guy.
Okay.
I think he just commands the huddle more. I think he plays with more confidence. He's got a stronger arm. I think he's kind of more of that Brett Favre model in terms of just overconfidence in his arm strength that he can force things in. So he'll make more mistakes, but he'll also make bigger plays. I think he's the guy that commands the huddle better. And he'll end up being the starters, my guess. Okay,
fair enough. You look back at this season, like we said before, 6-6, but losses to Illinois and Nebraska. I mean, this team could have been 8-4, right?
Yeah, we've talked about that some because yes and no. So let's say they beat Illinois and Nebraska, or at the very least they don't give up 600 yards to Nebraska.
Yeah.
But then you don't end up making the switch at defensive coordinator, and I'm not convinced that you then beat Purdue and Wisconsin. So it's like we said before, they kind of cancel each other out, and you needed to go down the road that you went to get to where you're at today.
Okay. MVP, last question here. Give me an MVP for this 2018 season. It can be a coach, it can be a player, it can be whatever. Who is your MVP for this Gophers team this year?
Ooh.
If you want, you can do your offense and defense. It's up to you.
Well, on defense, I mean, if you have to pick a player, it'd be Cashman, but I'm almost tempted to go with Joe Rossi with just the way that the defense turned around the last few games.
Mm-hmm.
On offense, it would have to be Tyler Johnson. The guy he would have that one drop a game, but other than that, he was your one guy who could get open when you needed a guy to get open. He can set up defenders and give himself a 3-yard cushion to be open for his quarterback. And if he's another guy that's right on that line between first and second team all Big Ten offense. I'd say Tyler Johnson's your offensive MVP.
And he'll be back for his senior year, correct?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. Tyler Johnson, like you say, he was like a highlight reel waiting to happen. He would have, it's a good point because he did drop about a ball a game that you kind of shook your head at, like, okay, you're going to make a one-handed grab, but can't catch a slant pass. But
exactly.
Good job today, Tom. Thank you for coming on. Good insight here on the Strom Sports Show. Have a great day, and like I said again, thank you so much for giving me the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tom Coyer of the Daily Gopher. Check his website out. He runs a really good site. I was reading some of it this morning. Obviously, the news with the Gophers beating Wisconsin, so it's a good time to visit the Daily Gopher and give that a read. Good show. Good job, Brandon Morton. Jim Suhan. Contact him at talknorth.com if you want to advertise with us. I'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Go Vikes, baby.
Join us December 7th for the live recording of the Cheryl Reeves Show as Cheryl and Jim talk with Rebecca Brunson at the winter wear drop-off event collecting donations for Minnesota homeless teens. Your clothing donation gets you in free. Go to tiny.cc/winterwear drive for more information or to donate.